little lower than 8 hours.
All right, we're live. Give it a moment just for lag. All right, welcome to the first official Marmalead SEO webinar. We have attendees from all over the world joining us tonight in different time zones, so thank you for taking the time to be here, even if it's the middle of the night where you are right now. In this webinar, we'll be introducing you to Marmalead, the best Etsy SEO keyword and market research tool. We're going to help you turn your craft into a business. It can be challenging to find the best keywords and tools, so we'll work with you every step of the way. Our free webinar will explain the basics of Etsy SEO, how to use Marmalead for market research, and we've even prepared some live shop critiques. This is going to be a great introduction on how to make SEO and Marmalead work for your shop. So to start out, we'll start with some brief introductions, then get right into the core of the webinar. All right, so I am Richie. My main areas of focus are product market fit and growth for Marmalead. Essentially, that means that I make sure what we're building is solving the most important problems faced by Etsy sellers. So my prior experience includes finance at a Fortune 500 company and product management at a small software company. All right, Gordon, introduce yourself.
So I'm Gordon. I'm the designer developer at Marmalead. Work closely with Richie, obviously, on the product. My background is in development, and I do UI UX full time. I love building things, so it's been a joy so far to work on Marmalead, and I'm excited to keep pushing forward with it.
I guess that means I'm next. My name is Michelle. I'm actually the owner of 4-Letter Word Cards, which is a Etsy store. I just opened it October 31st of 2014. I think as of today, I have 620 some odd sales. I've got over 180 5-star reviews, and this month actually is the first month that I've sort of have the most sales, the most income, the most everything, and it's just progressively growing. So I'm looking forward to helping all of you with everything, because I know it can be really stressful to try to figure out what works best for you, not just what works best for everyone else. Because, you know, depending on what you have and what you're doing, everything can be different. So I'm happy to be here.
All right, Gordon, that's over to you.
All right, so before we get into things, I really want to share something with you guys. Marmalead, I don't know if you've heard the story or not. Marmalead got started, Richie and I were actually going to make some laser engraved coasters at our local library. And so we were heading over there and laser cutting these coasters, and we were planning on selling them on Etsy. And we quickly discovered that trying to list these things on Etsy was way more of a challenge than we expected. We got to the point where we sat down and it was like, okay, what do we price these at? What kind of tags are we supposed to use to describe these things? It was pretty overwhelming pretty quickly. But anyway, real quick, I want to share with you guys. These are some of the coasters that we had worked on. So they're motivational sayings. I don't know if you guys can see these very easily, but I've censored them, so this is family friendly here. But stronger than any excuse. So these are helpful things to remember when you're working on your shops. I believe in myself. And then lastly,
on for a reason.
What's that? and then lastly, today is a great day. Today is a great day. So now to get into things, I hope you don't mind the little detour. Selling on Etsy. The strategy behind this, and the strategy behind successfully selling on Etsy, is really to expand, try to think of the keywords that you want to target. You want to come up with a giant list of keywords, as many as you can, how you're describing your item, all the different markets you can attack, come up with a massive list. And then you're going to want to take that list and you're going to want to boil it down to the ones that are the most effective, the ones that are working, the ones that people are using to shop on, the ones that people are viewing on Etsy itself. So that's all great, but how do you do that, right? Like, how do you come up with this giant list of words? So I'd like to talk a little bit about how you can achieve that using Marmalead. So I'm going to try and share my screen here. Hopefully this works out. All right. So hopefully you guys are seeing a keynote presentation now. Is that correct?
We
Richie?
see it.
Okay, excellent. So how do we get keyword ideas? The easiest way to start is by just taking your item that you're trying to list and thinking of different ways of describing it. And you really don't need that many to start with. I would say start with 3 or 4 different ideas. So in this example, I've picked a silver starfish necklace with some beads on it. It's really nice. If this is one of your products that one of you is selling, it's cool. So I started here and I came up with 4 different keywords to describe this. Starfish necklace, starfish charm, sea star necklace, because some people might not even refer to these as starfish. Some people might call them sea stars. And then finally, trying to think of a way that, how might someone be using my item that I'm trying to list? And maybe they're going to like a beach wedding, and this would be a good gift for someone, or something that they could wear to a beach wedding if they're attending one. And then finally, another good suggestion is ask your friends. So share a photo of one of your listings with a group of people and ask them to come up with 3 or 4 ways. And how you really want to frame this is to ask them, if you wanted to find this item online, what would you type into Google in order to find it? How would you search for it as a buyer? And so we're going to get started with this. We've got these 4 core ideas, and I'm going to show you how we're going to take these and blow them up into a huge list of possible keywords. So a little help from Marmalead now. We've got our 4 main keywords that we started with, and we're going to focus on starfish necklace, first of all. So we go ahead and we do a keyword search in Marmalead. And if you're an entrepreneur, you'll have access to a whole column on the right-hand side of the screen that provides you with a bunch of other ideas of how you could describe this. And these keywords are provided by Bing. So these are actual searches that people are doing. These are search suggestions provided by Bing based on my search for starfish necklace. And so what I did is I went through this long list of things, and I picked out 5 more ways, 5 different ways that I could describe this listing that I have. And when you're doing this, it's really important to keep in mind the length limit of your tags on Etsy. So the Bing search results could be longer than 20 characters, which is what you're limited to through Etsy. So you're going to want to either ignore those ones that are too long or finesse them a little bit and see if you can kind of rearrange them so that they fit inside that 20 character limit. So now, that was the first one, starfish necklace. I've moved on to the second keyword, starfish charm. And so there's a whole list of other suggestions here that have come back for those. And I've expanded my list by 4 more things here. And then I take it on to the third keyword that I came up with. And part of one of the suggestions around the sea star search was this Bahama term. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. Maybe someone is going to a Bahama wedding or thinking of the Bahamas, vacationing in the Bahamas, and looking for some kind of apparel for that. So maybe I could include something about the Bahamas in my keywords that I might be looking to go for. What I'm really trying to do here is cast a really wide net. I'm not really concerned with which keywords are really going to be the best ones yet. I just want to get a huge list. Okay, and so now I'm on beach wedding, my last of my keywords. You can see I've already got a slew of these things. There's probably like 16 or so keywords there. I've added beach wedding attire, beach wedding favors, beach wedding gift, all more targeted versions of that beach wedding keyword that I was searching for. So another great way of getting keyword suggestions inside of Marmalead, and this is something that you can do even if you don't have an entrepreneur account. You can perform your search. So I went back and I did my search for starfish necklace. Towards the bottom of the page, right above the tag cloud, you will see a table full of all the tags that people are using in their listings that match starfish necklace. So you do a search, Etsy comes back with all the different search results that match starfish necklace, and we're showing a breakdown of all of the other tags that are used on those items and how frequently those other tags are being used. So this is another great way of looking through other people's tags and finding common ones or ones that you think might be a good idea that you should incorporate in your listings, and kind of starting to riff off of those and build out your list even further. Another nice thing about that is that those tags, they're already going to be 20 characters long, since that's restricted by Etsy, so you don't have to really worry about the length with those ones. So sea star necklace here. I've pulled in some other cool words around like ocean jewelry or coastal jewelry. Shell necklace. It's kind of getting further from my original ideas, but these are valid searches that people could be doing and see my item and take interest in it. And so here, I keyed in on one of the Bahama ones, and I did search for Bahama starfish, because I kind of like that Bahama term to begin with. And one of the tags that came back was Bahama Islands. And then I was thinking, okay, wow, islands, that's a whole nother area. So I took the word island, and I started kind of incorporating it with lots of the other terms that I had found and been using in my list already. So now I've added another, 7 keywords based on just the phrase islands. And then finally, beach wedding gift. I got a little more targeted with that one and pulled up 4 more keywords. So we're left with a giant list of 37 different keywords that people can use, possibly be using to search for my listing. Well, that's fantastic, but I need to know the top 13. That's what Etsy only allows me to put in 13 different tags. So I need to figure out which of these are going to work best. Which ones should I be using? And Richie is going to talk about that with us a bit.
Can I ask a quick question real quick? Somebody
Absolutely.
said something in the comments. I don't know if you guys saw it or not. Somebody wanted to know about Bing and search, and if with the entrepreneur package, if they're able to see the search things through Bing itself as well.
So with the entrepreneur package, when you perform a search in Marmalead, it will show, it kind of showed in that screenshot there. There's a column in the right that shows up that says other ideas, and those are the terms that Bing returns based on the same phrase that you're searching for in Marmalead. So if you do a search for silver starfish necklace, those are the suggestions that Bing pulls back for that specific search, silver starfish necklace. And then if you do a different search in Marmalead for a different keyword, you'll get a whole different set of suggestions from Bing. Those will pull straight into Marmalead, along with all the other keyword analysis and search results that we show there. Hopefully that answers your question. If it doesn't, feel free to repost another one and we can hit it again.
We're also really quick taking notes on Facebook, so if you have questions, I think there's a limited amount of questions that we can get within the webinar itself. So if you want to post questions on the YouTube video itself, I have that open so that I can get comments, and then also within the Facebook group as well, and then I'll respond as everyone's talking and try and make sure that we answer everything. So sorry for interrupting, but I just wanted to make sure that everyone knew where they could ask their questions if they need to.
Yeah, that's great. I definitely want to, we have a structure. It's great to, and I guess the whole purpose of the webinar is to get questions in this live forum, especially since so many of our users have the same questions. It's great to get everyone in one place. There's actually another question in here I want to answer here. Is there any way to see what competitors' views per day are? How about competitors' most popular listings? Yes, you can actually see what their views are, but it's going to be per week, not per day. So what we do is on the keyword search tab, and everyone can do this. You don't have to be an entrepreneur plan for that, but there's a matching listings table. So every time you do a search in Marmalead, when you scroll down, you'll see a table of all the listings we pulled back, and that is going to be full of, well, your listings and your competitors. And we show you how many views per week and how many favorites per week those listings get. As far as what your average views per day should be, it really depends on, well, what your keywords are for that particular search. Anything you guys want to add to that, or did I pretty much kill that one?
That was good. Crushed it.
All right, great.
The other thing to keep in mind, though, is that obviously the number of items that you have in your shop is going to affect what you're doing when it comes to search. So if you only have 40 items in your shop or 25, you're certainly not going to be able to pull the search results that a shop would when they have 300 items. So keep that in mind. As you grow your merchandise and your items and your listings, your search is going to increase and your views are going to increase because you're going to have that many more items out there in the sea of Etsy items that people are going to be able to find.
That's a great point. Yeah, the more listings you have, the more opportunity there is to be found. And once they're in your store, I mean, they're going to see everything else that catches their eye. All right, I'm going to jump into keyword comparison. Give me just a moment while I share my screen. All right, let's talk about the keyword comparison tool. We've built a really cool keyword comparison tool. It's going to let you compare 4 keywords at a time. So when you take that big list that Gordon just finished talking about, you're going to be able to then narrow them down and compare them side by side until you get the best ones that you actually want to use for your shop. All right, so a lot of you have asked, how do I know it's a good keyword? Well, there are 4 qualities of a good keyword. And all of these you see in the keyword comparison, which I'll show you in a moment. Competition that you can compete with, and that's really a number of search results. It's going to be a lot easier for you to compete with a few thousand or 10,000 search results as opposed to 2 million search results, or really over 50,000 search results. A price range that's appropriate for your product. So whether we like it or not, people form kind of surrogate impressions of a product based on the price. So keep in mind you're selling something online, so people can't pick it up, they can't feel it, they can't see the quality firsthand. They have your picture to go on, they have your price to go on, and kind of the way you describe it. So really, if you're selling a premium product, you're going to need to reflect that, and the market and what other items your listing is with is really going to kind of set the tone and the precedent for how your listing is perceived. So just be really aware of, if you're going to price a $10 item, be aware of what the other listings are priced at in that search. Good traffic. Now this one's pretty subjective because what good is for you really depends on the keyword you're targeting. If you're targeting something, oh wait a minute, I'm finding out my slides aren't advancing. This wouldn't be fun if it wasn't live.
It's our first one.
I feel like we need an intermission music or something, like while we wait to try and figure it out.
Go for it.
Well, it's how you know it's a real webinar and it's not pre-recorded. All right.
And for those of you who are looking for the link for Facebook, it should be in the Q&As. I'm going to have my boyfriend post it real quick because I can't get into there. And then also I posted the Facebook group on the YouTube comments as well. So if you guys are looking for that link, you've got 2 places now where you can find it if you're not able to search it and find it online.
All right, so I think it's going to advance now. I think we're good. Okay, good traffic. Again, very subjective to where you're going to be. If I use a keyword such as, silver jewelry, I might get a lot of, views on average, but they're not very targeted. So, I'll go through that in a minute as far as like what type of targeted traffic you expect to get from that. But keep in mind that some of these searches that are very broad, you're going to see the top listings have a lot of views, but that's really just browsers. So keep in mind, good traffic is subjective, and you have to play around with some. But as you narrow it down, relative keywords, some will have better traffic than others, and you're just going to kind of want to pick them. And again, this is one of those things that's going to help you stand out among your peers by actually doing this legwork. And the 4th quality are top tags and items that are appropriate for your product. At the bottom of the keyword comparison, which I'll show you, we show the top tags that are used in that search, and then the top items that are returned in that search as well. So, again, if you're typing in a search and the products coming back look nothing at all like yours, maybe it's a good thing to go in and stand out, but then again, that might just not be what they're looking for, and it's a waste of one of your 13 tags. All right, I'm going to pop over to the keyword comparison tool. All right, so I have seeded this with silver jewelry, starfish jewelry, silver starfish, and silver starfish necklace. I've purposely chosen this order to kind of show you from broad to specific what these are going to look like. So silver jewelry, The most broad has more than 50,000 results. I'm really going to have to stay on top of my game and do some tactics to make sure I continue to rank high in that search and not just get lost in the crowd. Starfish jewelry. Now we've got 29,000. Silver starfish, 13. Silver starfish necklace, 5,500. As you can tell, people that search for these different ones are really narrowing down to what they're looking for. And you may get lower views, but the views that convert to sales are going to be high as you go left to right. All right, pricing. So when you hover over pricing, you'll get a tooltip. You'll see the maximum price of an item in that search and the minimum, as well as an average. And what's nice here is you can compare these all side by side. You don't have to run a search and then remember or write down somewhere what it was. I'm not sure about you, but I pretty quickly forget that stuff, so I really like to see it side by side. Same goes for average favorites per week. And again, you'll see that this really broad term gets a lot of favorites per week, gets a lot of views per week, but it's very broad. So the ones that actually convert to views, you're going to see are a lot lower. And down here are the top tags and top items I was talking about. If you click one of these top tags, it's actually going to open up a keyword search automatically in Marmalead, and you can drill down on those. But go up here real quick, starfish jewelry. Starfish jewelry, beach jewelry, starfish necklace, starfish earrings. If I'm selling something related to that, this looks like a good fit. If I'm selling something, beaded but does not have a starfish on it, this is probably a bad choice for me. And again, top items, if you click these, it's going to go right over to that Etsy shop. So I'll click on that one. And now I can go scope out my competition and see how they're presenting their photos. You can see what else they have in their shop, what their comments are like, and things like that. And again, just making sure I have a good fit. All right, back in the Keynote. Let's talk about long-tail keywords for a minute. There's a lot of buzz about long-tail keywords because Etsy changed their search a little bit. It's not a change to their algorithm and how relevancy works, but it is a change to how results are displayed when someone searches for something generic. So you'll hear a lot about long-tail keywords. What are they? Well, they're made up of at least two words. Silver starfish necklace, for example, is a long-tail keyword. Silver, on the other hand, is not. As you can see, one is a lot more specific than the other.
Short tail.
It's a short tail keyword. Thank you. Or just a word. All right. So this is what actually happens when you go to Etsy now and you search for silver jewelry. So even that's not specific enough. You search for silver jewelry, and right there at the top, Etsy is trying to entice you to click on rings, earrings, necklaces, bracelets, or jewelry sets. You actually have to scroll down to see those first actual listings. I don't know about you, but those first ones are pretty compelling, and I think it's going to divert a lot of shoppers over to those. When they click those, all the optimization you've done for silver jewelry, which by the way has 2.8 million results, is going to be wasted because they're never actually going to see it on that page. They're going to click on one of these others. So the other reason it's important is the 5-stage customer journey. Here I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how the customer goes from broadly being aware of your product to actually becoming a customer, and why it's important to not just focus on the high level and the broad or just the really specific, but to capture them all along the way, because they really are leads in a funnel. All right, the first stage, the most broad, is your customer is just lost. These ones, they're window shopping, browsing without a purpose. Maybe they're at work, they're on a lunch break, or they're just cruising around, kind of like when you go to the mall and you just kind of walk through the stores but have zero intent to buy anything. These ones, they're just browsing categories, and they might not even search. So don't spend too much time on them, but be aware that they're out there. The next stage is curious. So, for instance, they might know that they need to buy a gift, and they search something like jewelry. So again, very broad, they're just kind of cruising around, oh, what might this person like? Next, we're getting a little bit more specific. Now they're organized. They know they need a category of a product, So, oh, my wife, she likes silver jewelry. Let's start there and try to find something that, I think she's actually going to like. Next, we have confident. Confident, they know they want a specific type of product, and they actually have intent to buy a product for the very first time here. So they're searching for something with intent. When I find the one that looks right, feels right, I'm going to buy it. So here, they're confident, but you need to make them feel confident about your actual product as well. So your descriptions, they need to be on point. Your titles should make sense. Your shop policy should make sense. Make them connect with the product, make them connect to you, because ultimately people buying on Etsy, they're buying there because it's handmade and they like to have a little bit of a story. They want to be able to give this to somebody or have it for themselves, and when somebody asks them about it, be able to say a little bit of something kind of sentimental about you and the piece. So again, someone like this searches for silver starfish necklace. Then they turn into a customer. Customer knows your product is the right one. You've done all those things I just talked about. Again, they search for silver starfish necklace. They're going right in it. They see your photos. They read your description. They fall in love with it. They add it to the cart, and they actually push buy. This is what you're going for. Okay, so at this point, you've done all the work up front. You found your keywords. You narrowed them down. You understood the customer journey. So you serve them properly with the right keywords to find up in the right places. You talk to them the right way in your description. Well, now you want to make sure that what you did is actually paying off. And for that, you want to check your relevancy with the shop filter and the keyword search. All right. So here, I've gone for vinyl wall art. I've set my limit to a whole 500 listings. And then, since I saved a shop name in here, I can filter out to only see my listings. Here you can see there's actually 13 of them, which is great because you only get 12 to 13 pages of listings out of 500 results. So that means that at least one listing per page is what I'm achieving here with this. So I'm going to go ahead and scroll down.
Should note here real quick, for those that don't know, Etsy works really hard to make sure that one shop gets listed per page. So it's really uncommon for the same shop to show up more than once on the same page of results. They like to spread things out and make things look very boutique-y. So if you're landing one separate listing on each page, that's fantastic.
Yeah, exactly. If you have 12 pages worth of listings versus, you show up on page 1 but only once, well, with 12 pages, you've just increased your odds of being found or clicked on by 1,200%. Because maybe they liked what they saw on page 1, but they found it so quickly that they just kind of kept scrolling to see what else they like. Well, we all have very short attention spans in this digital age, so make sure you show them something else. Actually, it looks like even if it's the same thing, because if you look at these right here, page 1, same picture, page 2, same picture. Anyways, they're doing a fantastic job of showing up on all 12 pages, and we're even showing you where you rank. So rank 4, 48, 86. 3, for whatever reason, is the only one I think I've ever really, maybe 3 and 4, the only pages I've ever really seen more than one listing from the same shop show up. But I've never seen it on page 1 and 2, and like Gordon just mentioned, it's something they actually, actively, they call it declumping.
Yeah, it was a problem last year, I think, when I first joined. It was a problem with a lot of shops because there were so many people that had really big shops. So there's somebody with 500 listings and they're showing up in the first half of page 1. I remember I counted 32 listings for one single shop on page 1. So they really made a huge effort to change it to where it wasn't clumping, and it allowed everyone to be showed up as long as they were actually working actively on their titles and tags and keywords and things.
Carrie just made a really good point in the questions section too. She said that unless you're paying for promoted listings, you won't show up more than once. So if you are paying for any kind of promoted listings through Etsy, there definitely is a chance that your listing would be promoted and shown on a page more than one time. Would also like to take this opportunity to mention that the results that we're showing through Marmalead don't include any sort of promoted results returned by Etsy. These would be just the search results that Etsy returns minus all of those promoted listings. So these are like raw rankings per page without any kind of nod to whether a listing is promoted or not.
That's an excellent point. Very good. So while you're here checking up on your listings, because again, if you come here and you don't, and you're targeting having 12, 13 listings on the first 12 pages, and you see that you're not there, well, then you know that you need to, jump back on it. You need to optimize it and get back up there, because that is where your traffic is coming from. Also, while you're here, you can check out your views per week for each of the listings, and you can see which ones are performing better than others. Here, this one in number 2 is actually a standout, right? Favorites per week. You can see what tags they also have on them and what the different prices are. So maybe some of your, in this particular search, and again, these are all your listings, maybe you have something that's priced different than the others, and that's getting, different views. So, use all of this knowledge and lean into what works, and you just kind of avoid what doesn't. So Gordon, if you don't have or Michelle, if you don't have anything else to add on the shop filter and the relevancy, I'm going to move on to the next one.
No, I think we're good.
All right. All right, we're going to talk about keyword tracking, another cool tool we have, and pretty relevant for the holiday seasons. They're going to be coming up quicker than we'll all expect. All right, so the keyword tracking tool. Here we let you track 4 different keywords, and it has a year worth of rolling results. So here I didn't use something very holiday specific, but we planned the webinar beyond when I started this, and it would have restarted the whole thing, and I didn't really want to do that. So you get Starfish Necklace today. So starting from the top down, you see results. And this is very useful because it's going to show you how crowded that market is. So this is that same information that you're seeing with the keyword comparison, with the keyword search. This is how many other listings you're competing with in that market. So let's say we use something holiday related in here. You're going to start seeing, as we get closer to the holidays, the gift-giving holidays like Christmas, you're going to see other shops starting to jump on here. There may be a point for some of these keywords where it's too crowded for you and you want to go to something else. So that is something to be aware of. But it's going to let you know when other shops are starting to add those tags, when they're starting to enter the market, and when that's really starting to pick up. And that is valuable information for you. The number of shops competing. So maybe you have very few shops competing with those top listings. And for the most part, really, you're concerned with just the top listings. Because if somebody is way in the back and not real competitive in the rankings, well, that's kind of like being several pages into Google. A lot of people don't really go over there. They're only going there if they're not finding what they want at the front. So again, a lot of shops are competing. Very good to know. We also track the lowest price and highest price, so you'll start to see if the markets are moving that way. And on this graph, we have the average and the median price both tracked. So you can start to see, now especially, this is too short of a time frame, as you can see, July to mid-August. But something like jewelry with silver and gold and things like that, they're going to fluctuate throughout the year and can pretty heavily. Look what gold and silver have done in the past. This is great to see, so you can stay on top of this. Don't stick with a price that is old and too low while everyone else's prices are going up and kind of reflecting the market price of those commodities. So really, in one spot, pay attention to what's actually happening in the market. This next one is going to, or next two, are really going to help clue you into what customers are doing. So those first ones, you're going to see what competitors are doing. Average views and favorites, these are actually going to tell you what customers are doing in response to you guys and your competitors. So people are adding more listings, new shops are entering, but are customers clicking on them? Are they favoriting them? Are they really engaging with them? I like to think of favorites as more of an engagement. So when you actually favorite something, you better like it because it's going to show up on your home screen every time you log into Etsy. So if you start clicking on things you don't actually like, get used to seeing those and a lot more like them. So I find that to be a good measure of engagement. But if we're talking about something holiday related here, you'll start to see an uptick in those as you get closer to that season, and you'll really start to see when you might want to transfer some of your other listings into these kind of keyword buckets, these adding other listings to these keywords that are performing well and kind of avoiding the other ones. Gordon, I know you're a big fan of the keyword tracking. Is there anything else you want to kind of point out about this?
No, I think you did a pretty good job of covering it. Things you'd want to track in here, if you have certain keywords that you find yourself targeting frequently or that you always want to make sure you're on top of those markets, I would put those in here. I would also use some seasonal ones like Richie kind of talked about at the beginning, because this is a great way to see not only when more items start showing up that mention things like Christmas time, but seeing when the engagement really starts to pick up for those items too.
Yep, fantastic point. I guess
we
as long
also
as
got another
question. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, we got a question on Facebook. So Kathy wants to know if there's any way to actually view the sales or see the sales from the views for specific items within Marmalead. And I know you and I have talked about that, so I thought maybe that would be a good thing to bring up.
Yeah, that's a good one. So unfortunately, even though when you're logged into the public Etsy site, you can click a shop and you can see their sales and you can click that and view it on the web, Etsy does not currently, and we've requested it, they do not currently make that information available via their API. With one exception. When a shop is logged in through an app such as Marmalead, which Marmalead does not currently connect to your Etsy account, that is coming in the future, but without connecting to that specific shop's account, we can't find sales data for that shop. And even then, we can only find sales data and display sales data that's yours, not for your competitors. That may change in the future, but right now, that is what we're working with.
Michelle, there's another question in the Google thing too that I wanted to throw your way. Molly was asking, what's a good length of time to test keyword changes in your titles or changes that you make to your listings? I thought you might know best about how often, when you're playing around with different things and finding out what works, how long do you let those things sit before you start to decide to make a change based on that?
Actually, it's funny. I had highlighted that to answer that question later. So for me, it depends on how busy I am. I know that's a terrible thing to say, but like if I'm really slammed and I change a set of titles and tags and everything else and I'm not noticing that something's happening, if I have the time, because I have like 225 listings now and it's always growing. But what I would do, honestly, if you can, and I was going to mention this later, is when you're setting up your shop and you want to test something, if you have the same item, but let's say you offer it in a variation of colors, Etsy does not like it when you have the same item and you list it multiple times just to take advantage of keywords and titles and all of that. But what you can do, sort of a workaround, is if you've got multiple items and you have it as different colors, you can add a new listing and add the color information for that and then say that you can do custom work under other sets of colors. So that way you're sort of testing, but you're not changing or taking away anything that may or may not be working. So what you'll do is you'll just have a new listing, you'll put in your titles and put in your title and then your set of keywords that you want to try, and then I would say probably a week or two would give you an idea of whether or not it's working, and then from there you can make adjustments. But that's sort of a way to do like A/B testing, so that you've got one that you already know is sort of working because you're looking through your stats and you're seeing that you're getting searches from it and hits from it, but then you're also able to see, okay, well, if I make these couple of tweaks within this thing, then you can sort of compare the two and see which one's working best for you. I think that answered that.
I know that was a great answer. All right, well, that wraps up my portion with the keyword tracking. I had to remember where I left off there. All right, one of you is going next, but that wraps up what I had planned to talk about. Is that you, Michelle?
I think it is. So this portion of everything is actually going to be like the live shop critique. We had, first of all, let me apologize if I curse. I'm going to try not to, but if you've ever been to my shop, I use very colorful language and like everything that I do, and glitter, because glitter is important. So if something slips out, I apologize. But with everything, we had over like 200 people sign up for tonight. So I tried to grab just a couple of them that I was going to do through the screen share, and then actually try and get questions from all of you as to what other questions you may have after we've sort of answered how to use like Marmalead and how we actually apply it to a shop in general. So like I said, you guys can ask your questions on Facebook. We also have the YouTube comments, and then we also have the questions and answers within the Google Hangouts as well. So, and if I'm not paying attention, please somebody tell me if a question pops up that I'm missing or whatever. So, really quick about me. Like I said, I've had a shop since October 31st of last year. I actually did a screenshot so you guys can kind of see like what's been transpiring with my stuff. So you can kind of verify that I'm not like saying that I know what I'm talking about but not actually know what I'm talking about. One of the things that I've noticed is a lot of like people who do some of this stuff, they tell you like, oh, I've had, 10,000 sales and blah, 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 and I'm doing really, really well. But then you look at their shop and they've been open since like 2005 and they've only been getting trickles of views and orders every day. So I kind of like to verify, and I want you all to also verify because there's a lot of people who say a lot of things. So make sure that you're actually getting the information and then also trying to apply it so that it works for you. Because what might work for me may not always work for you. It just depends on what you're doing and how you do it and what you're comfortable with. So now that I've gotten that out of the way, I'm going to do a screen share real quick. I think this is the right one. We'll find out. Okay, so this is last year when I opened. I did a screenshot. So this is last year, my stats. I opened October 31st in like the middle of the night. And within, I think, the first couple of days, I ended up getting a bunch of sales. And so from October 31st till the end of December, I had 46 sales. Not much, but for a new shop, from what I've heard, it can take a couple of months for you to even get your first sale. So, and then last month was July, and here are my stats for last month.
You might need to share your whole screen.
Oh, is it not working? Thank you for letting me
No,
know.
sorry.
Hold on one.
I mean, if you squint, you can kind of...
I want everyone to squint. Since I have really bad eyesight, I want everyone else to like struggle with that too. Is that better? Now you can see Gordon. Okay, now can you see it?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. So here are my stats from just July. Last month was my highest in orders and my highest in views and also my income. So this sort of gives you an idea that things have been progressively growing. And then the one thing that I'm really excited about is my August views. Yay! So already, I still have like 11 days left of the month. I've already surpassed my orders from last month. My views are still obviously going to be higher than last month as well. And then what you can't see is the income, but that is also higher too. So it's progressively growing. I think part of it is because of Etsy itself and taking advantage of Marmalead and also trying to stay on top of the game, to be honest. I think that there's a lot of competition and you really have to put in the work and the effort to make sure that you're doing the best job that you possibly can. So I'll give you really quick a preview of my shop so you can kind of see what I put together for myself. I get pretty good views, and I'll show you really quick some of the stuff that I'm showing up on because I think that's important too. So 1 second. Okay. So here is, let's see. La-da-da. Here's my shop itself. Oh, and I just sold something. So this is what my shop looks like. I tried to keep the branding on point with all of my colors and also my photos. So all of my photos are pretty much going to have the same layout because I think having a cohesive shop and having something that looks similar and sort of when people are going through search, they're automatically able to identify what a four-letter word cards item is going to look like versus what anything else looks like. So that's sort of how I've set myself apart. So you can kind of see this is how I do my items. This is how I make it look. So with titles and tags, we've had a lot of questions about if it's good to like repeat your keywords within the titles and then also the tags. And one of the things that I found that's really useful is making sure that when you're writing out your titles, you match it with your tags. So if you look, I've got the I love you, love card, funny greeting card, or funny greeting, anniversary card, card for him, and then a bunch of other stuff. And if you go down to my things, I actually match it up to the things that I wrote in the title. I found that this has worked really well for me. It helped me get into the search within the first couple of pages. So if you actually compare it into Marmalead, you'll look for funny greeting cards, which is one of the things that I try to hit all the time. I'm in every single page up until I think the 13th page with my items. So if you look, like I'm rank 2 on page 1 for funny greeting cards. I'm rank 48 on page 2. So I'm certainly hitting all of the marks that I want to hit when it comes to the keywords that people are going to use when searching for my stuff and what they're going to be attracted to. Like obviously I'm not going to try and market my stuff to just regular greeting cards. I mean, I do, but mostly people find me through funny greeting cards because that's what they are. And they expect a certain criteria. Like this, for example, the second one is one of my cards, which is a funny card for her. So doing that and making sure you know your audience and what they're actually going to search for is really important. Okay, let's see. And if you guys have any questions, let me know. I am going to be checking everything to make sure that I answer things when they come in. And if I miss anything, I will try and check as well. So a lot of the things that I noticed with Marmalead is you guys are having some confusion with how to make it work for you. Oh, here we go. Maria wants to know, is it a good idea to give your item a fun name, or does that mess up the chances of being found? Honestly, I would try, you could probably within like the first couple of words within the titles and tags, you can get away with not using something to identify. But if you think about the way that search always, not always works, but the way that search would work, is your most important titles and tags you're going to want to put in the front, because those are going to be what Etsy weighs everything on, obviously, is the first couple of words. So instead of putting something funny in the titles and tags, I would probably put something funny in the description itself. One of the things that I saw a lot of comments on was how to convert or how to basically excite your people, the viewers who are actually looking at your items. And one of the ways you do that is within your descriptions, bringing up emotions and tying that into the piece itself. And I'll actually get into that a little bit more when I look at some of the items that I found through the questionnaires. But you always want to make people excited for something, and that's what the description is for. So I wouldn't necessarily put it in the titles and tags because that's going to screw up the search. You want to do what it is that people are going to identify with when they're looking for something, but within the description you certainly can have fun, and I'll show you. If you ever look at any of my descriptions, I'd like to think that I was pretty funny. So like, for example, the I freaking lava you a lot card. I've got, yay, you lava someone, woot, give your special lavaed one this adorable little card. You'll warm their heart up and you may even get a kiss. Woot, this volcano makes us warm and fuzzy from the glittery lined smoke to the glitter-filled orange lava. This card is sure to melt any heart. So basically what I did within my description is I made them picture something that has to do with emotions and making their loved one feel warm and fuzzy inside. So I'm sort of tying it into like where they can actually get a picture as to what it is that their loved one is going to have a reaction towards within the gift. And then I'm tying it all into the card itself and making them sort of feel warm and fuzzy when they read the description. So that makes them excited for it, and then they're going to want to buy it, hopefully. And if not, then, you know, I'll just kill them. No, I'm kidding. So that's what you want to do with your descriptions, and that's why I would save something fun for the descriptions versus the titles and tags. So really quick, one of the questions that we got yesterday was, well, not yesterday, but basically how to do better tags and SEO for their own shop. So I've got Hector's Housecraft that I pulled up, and I love the logo. I think the banner is really, really cute. I like the store, but I think there's some work that could possibly be done. One of the things that I noticed is, let's see if I can find it, this pink Scotty Dog bag was the one that I pulled up. Oh, here, look at the policies. Exciting. So here's their here's an item that they wanted, not that they wanted help on, but here's something that I found within their item. So if you look at it, you'll see for their title they have pink Scotty Dog, bag fully lined, bag, shoulder bag, long-handled iPad bag. And then if you go to their keywords, you're going to see that they don't really match up. You've got the pink Scotty Dog bag, fully lined bag, but they're sort of scattered within the thing. So what I would first do is make sure that you match up, again, your titles to your tags. It may take some finagling and trying to figure out how to do a really long sentence like pink Scotty Dog bag. I don't think that that's 20 words, it may be, I can't count right now, or 20 letters. But you want to make sure that you try to get as much as you can, but within the number of importance. So again, if you think that somebody is going to find pink Scotty Dog bag and that's what they're really going to search for, you can leave that as your first title and then keyword. But in my opinion, I don't think that if it were me, I would be really looking for a pink Scotty Dog bag. I think I'd be looking, here, hold on. I'm going to take off the screen share real quick. So I think for this one itself, I have notes on here so I can read it to you. Basically, if I was creating a title for the bag, like I said, you want to use your most important keywords first. So I would probably put shoulder bag first, and then another one that I would use is gift for her, because that tends to trend really well on Etsy, which you can find through Marmalead. Tote bag as well. So you want to think of all of the different ways that somebody would find your item. Another one would be gift for dog lover. They might not necessarily be looking for a bag, but as soon as they see your item that's under gift for dog lover and encompasses what it is that they're looking for whoever, they might fall in love and then want to buy it. So you want to do your research in Marmalead to actually find what search terms work, but you want to think outside of the box. You don't want to just use Scotty Dog, shoulder bag, and then just leave it at that. You want to use like purse, handmade gift, and then go from there. The other thing I noticed is that you had the long-handled iPad bag. Not many people are going to search for that. If you actually have to do a lot of screen sharing, geez. So if you actually go to an item, like let's see if I can even find long-handled iPad bag. One of the things that I like to use with Etsy is there's sort of a cheat sheet by using the search bar to help you find some of the terms that people are actually using to search. So let's say I want to see if they're using long-handled iPad bag. Nothing's coming up. I don't see anything. So instead, I'm going to look for iPad, and then it's going to show up. iPad bag does tend to get searched for more so than what a long-handled iPad bag would be found for. So I'm going to click on it. And you're going to see there's actually 48,000 results for this. So depending on how you do your words, if you really want to market this as an iPad bag, I would actually use your title and your keywords first as an iPad bag and then go from there. So that should help you narrow it down, but try to think of outside of the box sometimes when it comes to your items. So they're not just going to look for a bag. You want to interest them in other avenues, not just for that specific item. Okay. And if you guys have any questions, let me know.
There's another quick question here, Michelle. Inquiring minds like Sue would like to know if the order of the tags is important.
Yes, the orders of the tags are important. So again, you want to make sure that you use your most important tags and title in the first part. If you've got, like for me, I try to market my funny greeting cards. So the first keyword in the first title part that I'm going to have is funny greeting card. And then that tends to put me in the first page or the second page. Again, if you look at Marmalead, here's all of my stuff for funny greeting cards. Here's the first item, one of mine. And if you click on it, here you go. I've got my title of what it is, and then the second word is funny greeting card. I'm not doing screen share, so you can't even see, but here, I'll do it. I'm like, here, look, but you can't see anything. But I swear it's there. Okay, so here is the actual item. It's "You're better than a donut," which is the actual text within the card, and then it says funny greeting card. And then if you go down to the actual keywords, I have better than a donut because, you know, some people might actually search for a donut or search for that term. But then right next to it is funny greeting card. Then is anniversary card, and then are the other things. So again, it's not just what the item is itself, but it's how somebody could actually locate that item. So you've got donut lover, sweet gift, happy birthday card, a card for her, card for him, card for best friend, because sometimes we actually want to be nice to them, and then some other things. So that should sort of give you an idea. Like, you don't want to just stick within the structure of whatever the item is. You want to sort of broaden your horizon so that you're hitting everything that you can. And for people who aren't just necessarily looking for that specific item, if you do a gift for her or gift for dog lover, you know that if they're looking for something for a woman who's a dog lover, or even a man, you can have a freaking purse, it's going to show up and they might fall in love with it and then want to buy it. Okay, let's see. Oh, that's not a question. Okay, so the next one, I'm going to screen share again. So the next store that I pulled up is Profound Garden, and it's jewelry. I know there is a crap ton of jewelry stores on Etsy. It's like a hugely oversaturated market, so it's even that much harder to actually show up in search. So with jewelry, I think you have to be really competitive and do your homework when you're searching for things, because if you don't, you're going to get lost in the masses. It's just impossible to show up on stuff, especially when it comes to jewelry, unless you're really doing your work. So this was the item that I found, and here, we'll look at the question real quick. So the question from them was basically how to overcome chaotic suggestions and find out what actually works, and then also how to convert likes to buys. So I'm going to close this out real quick. So with this one, I noticed, if you look at their actual items within the shop, they're very much into astrology and zodiac. So it's astrology jewelry, zodiac jewelry, and things that would be keyed in towards that. So if you go to this item, you'll see they use crab ring, cute sea ring, animal jewelry, crab midi ring, sea midi ring, toe ring, all of these little things that could help them find stuff, could help viewers, but it doesn't still encompass everything that it could possibly encompass. What I would suggest for this particular one, first of all, is to stress that it's an astrological, jewelry or zodiac jewelry. If you actually look up zodiac, you'll see a ton of different things that come up. So people are actively searching for zodiac necklace, Cancer zodiac, zodiac charms, zodiac ring, and you're not taking advantage of that within your titles and tags. So you're missing out on all of that stuff. Like, obviously, you have to look through Marmalead to see what the percentage is, how many people are actually using that thing. But if you change your stuff to actually have like zodiac ring in there, chances are if somebody sees that, they're going to click on your stuff and it's going to show up and you're going to get the sale versus anyone else. So make sure that you fully encompass what it is. The other thing that I noticed is that you're doing C jewelry, and you're going to have to do the homework for this, but with C jewelry, I wouldn't necessarily search for C jewelry. I would think more along the lines of ocean. So you want to use more common terms versus terms that people may not necessarily associate with the two, if that makes sense. The other thing, let's stop screen sharing. My other notes for this were, basically, I would change it to like gold-plated zodiac ring, crab jewelry, Cancer ring, ocean jewelry, gift for her, astrology gift, handmade ring. So those are all going to be different hit points. And one thing that I've noticed, and I don't know if this is the same for anything else, but in my own listings, is when I repeat certain words, it helps me with search. So I would use funny greeting card, and then a couple of keywords later, I'd use something else with card in it as well, just to sort of reinstate that that's what it is that my item is. Okay, let's see.
I'm seeing a question here. The question about tag order is resurfaced. So
Yeah.
the actual order of tags at the bottom per Etsy admins, those don't matter. And your title, it matters. In the tags where you actually tag it, doesn't matter.
So,
two separate things.
right. So the title itself, the way that I structure my items is the title itself coincides with the tags that I'm going to use in that order. So when you select what your item is, obviously Etsy generates certain tags that automatically get put on the bottom of your stuff. So it's like for mine, it'll be paper products, greeting cards, anniversary card, or birthday card, or whatever it is that item is, which helps with the search. So when somebody's searching for birthday cards, they're not going to get some random, card that has nothing to do with birthdays. They're not going to get like a sympathy card, I'm sorry your grandfather died, or whatever. That's just not going to happen, because hopefully you would have done your homework and changed your stuff so that it's actually under the right search category. But after those tags, or after those keywords at the bottom, you should be matching your keywords with your title. So, again, I'll show you. Go to entire screen. So again, we'll click on another item that I've got. We'll click on my favorite. So here's Batcat, right? So I have funny greeting card, which is my first thing other than mature and Batcat, because I have to put that it's mature because it has a curse word. That's one of Etsy's requirements. So if you go to the bottom, you'll see after the categories that Etsy gives you, which is the paper party supplies, paper greeting cards, anniversary cards, whatever, I've got my mature Batcat and then funny greeting card. Then the rest of my titles, which are in order, or the rest of my keywords, which are in order with my title. I have found for me that works. It's sort of like reinstating what it is and my intent with the keywords. Because if I just had random keywords that had nothing to do with my title, chances are I wouldn't be found on search so much. And actually, I do have items here. Let's see. I'll show you one so we can sort of see what I mean. There's a couple of birthday cards that I was trying to figure out if funny titles actually works. And if I can find it. Okay, so here we've got one right here. If you look, I've got fantastic, colorful, retro, glittery, funny birthday card for perfectly aged friend, lover, special someone. So I have that, and if you look at the bottom, my stuff, my titles, doesn't match my keywords. They're not even correlated. They don't even relate to each other. So I've only had 94 views on this and 10 favorites, which means to me this isn't getting found. Now, here, we're going to do an experiment. I'm going to change my stuff right now. And ignore my crappy typing. I'm on a laptop, which means my typing sucks. I also have to put mature. Okay, so now you see I've got mature, funny greeting card, birthday card, funny card for her, card for him, funny birthday card. I'm going to go all the way down to here, and I'm going to change my stuff. Oh, God. Of course I can't see it because the Google Hangouts is blocking it, but okay. So I have to do mature. I'm going to do funny greeting card. And then I'm going to fill out the rest of my stuff for things that it could possibly be used for. Oh, God. Of course, now I put myself on the spot so my brain isn't working. I'm just going to go with tags that I know. Let's see. I think birthday card. We have funny birthday card. I always like to do card for husband or card for wife. I tend to get hits for that. And then I also like to sometimes, if I can't or I don't have time to fully look up stuff, I'll use my actual shop name as well, so that if somebody is searching and forgets to search through shop name, I'll still pop up. So there's that. I've got all 13 keywords. They match the order of my title. And now I'm going to, so again, I've got my occasion set. I don't always do this style because they're greeting cards and I don't think there's really freaking style for that. But if you're like doing artwork, you could do like modern or whatever, something that coincides with that. And then the recipient, I generally leave that blank because I don't want to limit it, although I don't think people would search for a dog greeting card for this, but whatever. It's there for other things. So I'm going to publish it. And then sometimes what I like to do with my items, after I've published something and I've made changes, I renew them to see if maybe it'll help kick things into gear. Because when you renew something, you're paying for it and you're basically saying, hey, Etsy, I made some changes, you know, recalculate my stuff and figure out where it's going to go. So we're going to renew this. Richie, you owe me 20 cents, by the way. So
right.
now I've gone ahead and done that, and we're going to visit it in a few minutes. It'll probably take longer than a few minutes. If we don't have time to actually visit it, you guys can go ahead and visit it yourself and figure out what happens with that listing. Is it just going to stay, you know, like hidden on all these pages, or what's going to happen? It looks like Dara has a question. Okay, my question is, if you're showing up in views, top pages in Marmalead, if you're priced pretty average, you're getting a lot of views and favorites, but no sales, then what? I've had 7 sales for the first 2 weeks. I've listed items, but nothing, or now nothing. Sarah, what is your shop name? Can you actually post your shop name in the Facebook page? I'd like to see if maybe I can help you. I don't know without being able to sort of like see what's going on with your shop, but it could be a number of things. I think one of the things that's really frustrating for people is that just like any marketplace, the way that you set up your photos, the way in which you use your descriptions, and how professional you look matters. I understand that we are a bunch of creators, and it would be so freaking wonderful if all we could worry about was focusing on the crap that we made. Not crap, but you know what I mean. That would be amazing. If we could just make something, post a photo of it, no matter how bad that photo looked, it would get a bazillion hits and a bazillion buys, and people would fall in love with it, and it wouldn't matter how much, we wouldn't need to put any further work into it. Unfortunately, that's not the way the world works. It requires a lot of work to try and stay on the top, and I know that sometimes it's frustrating, especially for those who have other jobs, and this is like a side income. But if you sort of concentrate on working a little bit at a time on your listings and sort of growing and pushing things as you can, it's going to make a difference. Here, I'll show you. I don't want to get made fun of for this, but I'm going to show you real quick. So here is, oh wait, hold on. I'm not going to share my screen yet because I have to go into a thing that you guys can't see. Here. I think I just got it. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen really quick because I got to the thing that I need to do. So here's some of my old listings. This was one of the first cards that I ever did, and this is the way that I was posting them. So if you look at this, this is really ugly. Like, the card's adorable, at least in my mind, but the background kind of sucks. You can't really make it out so much, and it's just not very captivating. If somebody were to see this in the search, chances are it's going to get skipped over. So this is how my first photos were. Then during the holidays, I wanted to sort of stage my photos, so I did this. This looks a little bit better. It's not perfect. It could certainly look a lot nicer, but compared to what the other one looks like, there's a huge difference. I would be much more attracted to this photo than I would be the other one. So, and if you look at my other items, what I've got now, it looks totally different. It looks more cohesive. You can see the brand. You can see that everything is sort of the same in the sense that, like, it all stands out. You can clearly see the card, and it just looks more professional. Like, here's my Christmas cards now. I would certainly be a lot more attracted to this than I would be what I originally did. So you always want to make sure that you're pushing what you're doing and you're changing how you do things, and you're not just accepting the status quo. If you're not getting those sales or those views, then try to figure out, okay, do I need to change my photos? Are they not well lit? You can look up in Etsy for the bigger photos and search within the categories that you're popping up on. So if you're looking for, like, let's say you have jewelry and your photo isn't as bright as all the other ones, it's going to look dark and it's going to look not as nice. So you're going to then need to adjust those photos so that people can, it's comparative to what other people are showcasing. And it's not going to get lost in views because it's so dark and doesn't look like you put as much effort into it. And that's not to say that you're not putting effort into it, but when people are only looking through things visually, you're going to have to make sure that it stands out compared to everything else, so you're going to have to compare between your photos and everyone else's. Okay, let's see. Do we have time to go through 2 other shops that people posted about?
I don't know. We're a little bit long right now, but as long as people are sticking with us and we kind of keep it somewhat brief, yeah.
Okay, because I know it's late for you guys. It's like 9:20 there. Isn't it past your bedtime, Richie?
I'm more worried about Gordon.
Is it Gordon that's going to fall asleep first? You need to go night-night, Gordon. Okay. Okay, so somebody wanted to know about their titles. So Kathleen, let's see, we're going to look at our shop real quick. Do screen share. I think I'm sort of getting used to this screen share thing. So annoying. It'd be nice if my computer just knew what I was going to do rather than me having to do it. It'd be great. Okay, so she wants to know if her titles are too short. Let's look at one. Yes, they are. You're basically, with your title, you want to make sure that you're hitting as many keywords as you possibly can that are going to be relevant to your item. So you've got a hemp, bracelet, boho, gypsy, multi. I would assume that the multi is because it looks like multiple bracelets within the same bracelet. So, and then if you look at your keywords, you're not matching them up. So the first thing that I would do is, let's use Trusty Marmalade. Oh my god, am I spelling this right? Let's copy and paste. I'm a really bad speller. Like, terrible speller.
That's what spell check is for.
It is, but you guys are actually watching what I type in, so I'm going to look like an idiot no matter what.
Yeah, and since I'm on camera, I have to be careful of cringing.
So nice of you. Okay, so obviously none of my listings are going to show up because I don't have hemp bracelets. But there's 16,000 results that are coming in for hemp bracelets. You've got the prices that are listed, so you know that like minimum price is $250. If you're charging $250, I'm going to slap you. Not really, but even $9.99, I am sure that it took you many hours to make this bracelet. You shouldn't be charging $9.99. Here's the deal with pricing. While using Marmalade to figure out the best price or the average pricing is great, at the end of the day, you're only worth as much as you say is your worth. If you're pricing everything really low, of course you're going to get people excited for that pricing, but then you're not going to do your due diligence in making sure that you're taking care of yourself and actually making an income. So try to, like, I know for me, I just listed coffee mugs, and I wasn't sure about the price because coffee mugs, people list them for as low as like $5, and then there's some like really beautiful handmade ones that are like $30. Mine, I printed them. They were full color, but again, I wasn't sure like where to list them. So I went higher. I listed them at $19.95, and then I added my cost for shipping. So they were paying around $26 for a coffee mug, and I was kind of nervous about the price, but I left it as it is. I had 8 mugs as of, what was it, the first of the month. I'm now completely sold out of them. So had I listed them cheaper, they would have been bought. But I wouldn't be giving myself the opportunity to actually making a profit and making the money back that I spent on creating those items. So price is important, but you're only ever going to be worth as much as you say you're worth. So, okay. So with the hemp bracelet, you're using just the hemp bracelet, boho, gypsy, and multi. Let's look at your competition. The first thing that comes up for this person, we're going to click on them. Really? And of course, they use a really thin freaking title. Okay, so this is sort of a bad comparison, and that will occasionally happen. But I think part of why this is happening is because there's nothing else for them to pull up on. If you look at their titles and tags, they're only ever going to get hit for hemp jewelry and stoner jewelry and cannabis jewelry because that's what they have listed. So if you want to make sure that you're hitting every part that you can in your market, you're going to want to take advantage of all the space that you have within your titles and tags. Here's an example. Raw amethyst bracelet, healing jewelry, hemp bracelet, minimalist jewelry, or bracelet. Even this isn't as long as it could be, but they're certainly trying to hit more than just one category with their title.
And I want to interject real quick on that too. So when you find yourself a market like this that has really weak competition because the sellers in it just aren't doing everything they can to optimize, jump in there and crush it if that fits what you have. I mean, that's awesome. This is exactly the type of thing you want to find. a nice little niche where, you know, your competition's not that competitive.
Right. So they're not putting the work into the item, which means that you can totally take it to make sure that you're hitting the first pages of everything. So you're going to have to do the work and figure out what works best for you. So the fact that they're only using a couple of titles within that, I don't know how much people search for hemp bracelets though. And one way to find that out is also looking through Marmalead, but you can see people are actually typing it in through Etsy by typing in hemp and then seeing what follows. So yes, people are looking for hemp bracelets, they're looking for necklaces and jewelry and all of that fun stuff. But you're only competing with 16,000 results. So if you can get on those first couple of pages, you're golden. So I would certainly try to increase and get as much or as many keywords as you can that are relevant to your item, and also a little bit out of the box. So instead of just a hemp bracelet, I would imagine that this could be a friendship bracelet. This could be a gift for a child, a gift for a daughter, a gift for son, whatever it is. So don't just limit yourself to what it actually is that you're selling, but think of the possibilities of where it would be useful to actually be sold as. Generally, when you're on Etsy, you're not only buying yourself things, you're buying gifts for other people. Okay, so Dara responded, and she says she thinks she might need better photos. Her shop's been open since December, and they just started listing within the last month. So, okay, so if you look at her stuff, I really have to tell you, I love your banner. It's really cute, actually. I like the font. The font's really in right now. Okay, so I wouldn't say that your photos are terrible, but I wouldn't say that they don't need work either. If you, here, we'll go to me. I'll show you how my photos looked for my mugs, and then you can sort of compare. So with my coffee mugs, I was showing up on the first pages of everything for coffee mug. I actually showed it to Richie yesterday because I was all excited. I was also showing up as gifts for her, like the first freaking thing. It was amazing. So here's my photo for the coffee mug. It's really, really bright. It's an even lighting. I adjusted the brightness and lighting to make sure that it looked okay. You can still tell that it's white, and then the background and the ground itself is very white. And then I sort of did some other fun shots so that you can kind of get an idea of the mug itself. So in comparison with yours, I would probably not do a black background. I think white backgrounds are kind of boring, so I try to spruce mine up a bit. But black background, it looks like you may have used leather and carpet. I think finding something that sort of adds or benefits to your photo would help, and then doing something to where you adjust the brightness, and then you can compare it to other coffee mugs that are being listed. So that's it. Here's what you're competing with. Really bright, fun coloring that makes these items stand out. So if you compare it to what you have and then try to get it more to what's actually showing up in search, and again, you can even like start comparing your stuff to shops that, like, click on the first couple of shops and see if they're actually selling their items. Let's see. This person is selling their items. If you go into their sales, you can actually look at how many sales they have a day and be a stalker and do your homework and look. She sold 6, 7 of them. I'm not counting. So obviously her photos are captivating people. And if you look through, you can try and gauge how many sales she's had this month. I know that there are 24 listings on each sold page. So if you find where, okay, so she's got around 6 pages of items that have sold. So if you times 26 or 24 by 6, you'll figure out how many items she sold within this last month. That's how I always gauge whether or not people are actually doing well is by looking through their sold items and seeing how many sales they had that month. If I know that they're selling like a couple hundred, 100 items, they're doing pretty well, so chances are I might want to try and make my photos look similar to theirs. Not obviously copying them, but trying to make it just as bright, and trying to gauge off of that and see what works for you. Does that make sense? Gordon, Richie, anyone?
Yeah, that was kind of rhetorical. But yeah,
Okay. So does anyone else have any other questions? I think we sort of covered a lot of stuff. Anybody? Or do you guys have any questions? Did I not answer anything that I should? Or should I answer more stuff?
I think that's probably good. For those who are still listening, we should probably mention that if you do post questions in the Facebook group that maybe you didn't think of right now, but as soon as as soon as everything's all over and later, you're up at night thinking, oh my gosh, I should have asked that, post it in the Facebook group and we'll watch that and we'll answer them.
That is true. I'm on Facebook probably way more than I should be. So, I'm gonna check something real quick. Oh, yes! Okay, wait. I have to show you something really quick. So remember that card that I did earlier? The birthday card that I changed the titles and tags on? Isn't it great when things work out? This is my happy face. Okay, are you ready? Here's the card under funny greeting card. It's the first freaking one on the listing. On the first page of funny greeting card. So that right there should tell you that when you match your titles with your keywords and you put in the effort to try and make sure that you're hitting those things, it actually shows up. There's right there evidence that that's working.
Look at that, I did it live.
I know, I did it live. Woo. Let's see if it shows up. Ha! Funny birthday card, right there, second line. There you go. I think I just proved live that if you put effort into your titles and keywords, it will pay off. And I want more than 20 cents now. I think I need more than that now.
Well, now that you're ranked so high, you should very easily get a sale, right?
I don't know. Not everyone likes the curse words. But here's another thing. Dara just mentioned she's got a lot of work to do tomorrow. It is a lot of work to try and figure out all of this stuff. We're not thinking that you're going to have this down by tomorrow and be a freaking genius. There's always stuff to learn and always things to change. So don't feel overwhelmed that you've got 100 listings to go through and comb through. If you start small and you start on maybe 10 listings a day, you'll progressively be able to manage all of it, and you'll start seeing results right then and there because you're working slowly on 10 listings, then another 10 the next day, and another 10. So don't feel discouraged because there's so much work to do. You guys got this. You can do this. Just take it slowly. Oh, Rhonda has a really good question too that we didn't focus on. When typing your titles, should you use dashes, commas, backslashes, etc., and does it affect your SEO? From what I've heard from Etsy, those things do not affect SEO, so it doesn't matter which stuff you use. However, one thing that I would keep in mind is when you use commas versus dashes or backslashes or anything else, you end up saving space for more letters. Because if you do dashes, I've seen that there's a space and then a dash and then another space and then the next set of keywords. So if you're using commas, though, you have more space to put in your crap. So I like to use commas. I found that benefits and works for me. If you want to use dashes to be whatever you can, just know that that's going to limit the space that you're using within your titles. And I think that's it.
All right, that was great. Thank you.
Thank you. And now I expect all of you to go on my shop and buy a lot of cards, like a crap ton of cards as a thank you. And I'm totally kidding. Please don't do that. If you have any questions or you would like assistance, on my Etsy page, I actually have a shop critique listed that you guys can take advantage of. Or you can also message me, and I would be more than happy to walk you through how to do things. I know it's daunting, and it can be really hard to figure out everything and overwhelming because it's so much stuff with photos and keywords and titles and descriptions and everything else. But I'm more than happy to help you, so please reach out, and I'll do what I can to make sure that you guys are successful too, because I know it's a lot of work. So that's all.
I want to slip one comment in there for you too, though. I actually did buy one of your cards for one of my friends who was getting married, and I thought it was fantastic. And we'll get into a whole other time, whole different webinar or whatnot. But Michelle does an absolute fantastic job of the experience of buying from Etsy. And if you want to know about that, you can either buy a card or ask her, and I'm sure she'll tell you. But we should cover that another time because it was really great from the whole experience of getting that package, opening it up, and I'll leave it right there. But it was really great, and it's exactly how everyone should do their shops.
Well, I will say this. As a customer or as a seller, you want to think like a customer. So you want to make the experience as great as you possibly can. And for me, my packaging, I like making it like a present so that the person, even though they're buying a card for somebody else, they're going to feel like they get themselves a present because they're opening this crap. They're like, yay, I get all this stuff, and then they give the card to somebody else. But that's really important too. You have to think like a buyer, not just a seller. And if you guys have questions about that or customer service or anything else, tell Richie and Gordon that you want to have other webinars. And if they're nice enough to me, then maybe if you would like me to host, if I've been helpful. If I haven't, then you can send your hate mail to me later. That's fine. But if I've actually been helpful and helped you learn some things, please let them know and give them feedback and let us know what else you'd like us to focus on so that we can help you all develop better shops and actually translate everything into sales.
So before we go, we do have one more thing we'd like to share with you guys, and this is something that Richie and I have been talking about for the last few weeks and starting to kind of put together in our heads. It's the next big feature that we're going to be building into Marmalead. And I would like to give you guys a sneak peek of that right now. It hasn't been built yet. I'm just going to show you guys some screenshots of what the design looks like for it, and walk you through what we're really trying to do with it. It's going to be the next thing that we'll be working on. So let me screen share, and I will share that with you.
I feel like we need really exciting music right now. Or like the movie theater guy, the movie voice. And now, presenting Marmalead 2.0. Dun,
There we have it. Fantastic.
You covered it. That was good.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
It doesn't even have a name yet. It's called the Listing Marmalizer for now, for lack of a better name. Essentially, what we're trying to do with this tool is what we walked you guys through tonight, and that is this process of exploring a bunch of different keywords for your listing, and then boiling those down, finding the top ones, and then going through the process of updating your listing with the right title and the right tags for it. So the first step in this workflow is to simply enter the URL of your listing that you're wanting to marmalize. And so in this case, we're showing, okay, they've entered a beaded ballpoint pen. We'll pull back the image of your listing, and then we'll ask you to describe your listing 4 different ways. And yeah,
I still see the webinar or the webcam of you.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, that's disappointing.
And your lovely wedding photos in the background, which are adorable, by the way.
All right, let's go. Shazam. How's that? Are we on?
There we go.
All right.
Yep.
Thanks for the heads up. So,
no problem.
And maybe as you imagined in your heads, this is what it looks like when you're entering a URL. So the next step, we're pulling back your listing. This is the ballpoint pen photo that you have in your listing, and we're asking you to describe it in 4 different ways. Now, we're going to help you out a little bit here, and if you have any tags already set up for your listing and they match terms in your title, we're going to pre-fill these fields with those strong matches that you already have set up for your item. You can go ahead and change those, and you can add new ones, remove them, whatever. We just need 4 ways to describe your item to start with. And then the next step, we're going to generate some suggestions. So we've filled this out here with the Cheerleader Ballpoint and Love Charm Pen. Now, we're going to generate suggestions, and at this point, Marmalead's going to go out and it's going to use all kinds of different sources. It's going to use the Bing keyword suggestions like we talked about before. It's also going to use some of the search information inside of Marmalead. Since we launched Marmalead, we have about 60,000 individual keyword searches kind of collected by all you guys who have been using the tool. And so that's a really good pool of data to kind of rely on and pull up some other search suggestions from people who may have been searching for very similar things to what you're actually trying to list. So we're going to pull back a giant list of suggestions for you and ask that you select 20 of those. And we ask that you pick 20 because your listings have 13 tags on them, and we want to find the best 13 options. So we want to naturally pick more than 13 so that we can go ahead and crunch some numbers for you and figure out which are probably your best 13 options for tags that you should be using. So we go ahead through, we pick some more suggestions here of how to describe your listing. We ask you some basic information to understand how much it costs you to make this listing. So we'll ask you about your material costs that you have, if you have an overhead percentage, which we suggest 30%, but feel free to adjust that as you guys see fit, how many hours it takes you to create this listing, and keep in mind that, you know, if you are creating something in batches, so like maybe you can do 12 in an hour, I wouldn't put an hour for my listing, I would put, you know, a 1/12 of an hour for that one item. And then the hourly rate, which you value your time at. And I mean, put whatever you think seems to fit. Our real concern with doing this isn't to decide what price you should be charging, because that really depends on the market. But we want to make sure that you're covering your expenses so that you're never listing something for less than it's actually costing you to make the item. So then, boom, next step. We have crunched a whole bunch of numbers. We have done 20 different keyword searches for you and pulled back all that information. And we have looked at which tags and which ones you should incorporate in your title. And so the last stage of this is presenting back to you, okay, this was what your new title should be. And just as Michelle was talking about earlier, you can see that we've matched up our tags with what's in the suggestion for how you should be titling your listing. And those tags should directly pull back and forth between the two of them so that you get some really strong matches and really strong SEO, and you can rank really highly for those different markets that you're really trying to target.
Can I add some?
Yes.
Oh, thank you. I was trying to get in before you started because I didn't want to interrupt. The other thing that I noticed, there was like Waterman pen that showed up, which I think is actually a copyrighted brand of pen. So when you're getting these titles and tags and keyword suggestions, try to do the homework of whether or not those keywords are trademarked. There are a lot of people, I know that on Etsy, a lot of people who take advantage of Disney and DC Comics and Marvel and a bunch of other stuff, and those keywords are actually trademarked. At some point, Etsy will come down on you and you will be reported, because I know for a fact Disney is very vigilant at going after people using their trademark characters or names or whatever and using that to garner business. So try to keep that in mind and do your homework just to make sure that you're not doing that, because we would hate for your shop to get closed because you didn't look up something and it was a trademarked word or term and somebody reported it, or the person went after you and told Etsy to close your shop. So that's just my 2 cents on that.
Yeah, that's a really good point, and that's something that the Bing search suggestions are going to pull back some of those things inevitably, probably if you're competing in a space that people are searching for actual products made by larger companies out there. Unfortunately, Marmalade, it's like really tough for us to filter those things out. So, like Michelle's saying, you really have to be aware of that on your own and make sure that you're not targeting those, or if you're feeling lucky, go ahead and target those until you
You want to play Russian roulette with your shop?
You can always open a new one, maybe.
Unless they block your IP and then you're screwed.
No, yeah, that's true. No, she's right. You should definitely be aware of that.
Marmalade does not condone copyright infringement.
Spraying you in the face and then smacking you on the nose and telling you no.
So back to the results page. We also suggest a price for you here, which will be arrived at based on the median prices that we've found in the different markets that we're looking to attack. And we want to make sure we fit in with those markets. We also want to make sure and check that price against the numbers that you gave us on the previous screen to make sure that you're not charging less than it costs you to actually produce these objects. And then also for each of the tags, we'll suggest how often you might have to renew these your listing in order to stay at the top of that search. And then
renewing,
go ahead.
I was just gonna say renewing does matter. I hate to say that because I'd like to be the only one who knows that. But as you saw with our other listing, the one that I renewed after I changed the titles and the keywords, it showed up on the first page. So if you have really old listings that you're redoing stuff on, I would certainly suggest renewing it and then seeing where you fall within 30 minutes and engaging from there. But renewing does help.
Yep, absolutely it does. So in this example, we've led our title with beaded ballpoint, and we have a tag for beaded ballpoint. That's going to be our strongest match of all of our tags since it's at the very beginning of our title. We might be able to ride that wave longer and stay at the top of that market a little bit longer and not have to renew as much. But again, that also really depends on how big that market is and how active it is and how often other things in that market are getting relisted. So that number is really kind of flexible, I should say. This mock-up doesn't show it, but if you were to scroll it to the bottom of the screen, we're going to have an update button. So from here, you can make any changes you want to your title. You can set your price as you want, and you can check and uncheck tags that you want to use on this listing. And then at the bottom, you go ahead and click Update, and it's going to go back to Etsy and actually update your listing with the new title, new price, and new tags that we've just picked here for our listing. And ideally, this is kind of the vision for it, we're going to show you a before and after and show you this is the title you did have. Here's where your price point was and how much profit you were making at that point. And then we're going to go ahead and do the searches on the other tags that you were using and show you where you had been ranking out of a list of 100 items. And after you've made the updates of these more targeted tags, I mean, just looking at them, you can see that a lot of these are a lot more long tail, like Richie was talking about earlier. And you're going to be a stronger match, especially if they're already in your title, and you'll rank higher. So you can easily see the improvement that you've made on your listing just by going through and using this listing analyzer tool. And so that concludes a little sneak peek live demo there. In fact, it's funny because Richie actually just saw these screens for the first time this morning, so this is like hot off the press.
Wait, so I get to use the tool too first, right? Do I get to be your beta tester since I'm...
You are a beta tester, actually. You are in Marmalade Labs forever.
Okay, fantastic. Just making sure that, I at least get to benefit from this sooner than later. I mean, I think it's only fair, right?
Well, you were one of our very first customers when we launched the Entrepreneur Plan. You took us up on the Marmalade Labs offer. So,
I did.
Yeah, so you get that special badge.
Yay. I think, do we have anything else? Or...
That was the grand finale.
That was it.
If you guys are interested in entrepreneur and you don't already know how to do it, you can visit my website and click on the link, because that would be fantastic. On my website, 4-letter word cards.rocks, because I hate .com. I have actually a whole blog that I'm dedicating to Etsy and Marmalead and useful tools that'll help you with running your shop. So on there I've got some links for some really great tools. Marmalead is one of them. So you can always go there and get some information as well. And that's it.
All right. All right, well, thank you for everyone that stayed with us. We went way over an hour here. We're rocking about an hour and 50 minutes. I'm going to talk to those of you who aren't here. Don't worry, there is a link. There will be a link as well that I'll send out. Everyone can watch this. It'll be available on YouTube. But special thanks to those who are here, and hopefully the shop critiques that you got live, courtesy of Michelle here, were very helpful for you. I know I learn something every time we talk. It's fantastic to talk to all of you, and it's really, you know, the experience combined that everyone's having that makes us all better at, you know, let's just say better at Etsy.
And thank you very much for coming and watching. I know that this was the first one, so the fact that you like braved through it all is just awesome. You get a gold star. I can't actually give it to you, but I am through my mind. But yeah, thank you very much for giving us a chance to like help explain how this can help you and why it's so important to make sure that your titles and keywords are on point.
All right. Well, if that's it, we will stop the broadcast and sign off.
Goodbye.
All right, this is Marmalead signing off.
Guys.